Hey, and welcome back to the series where we are talking all about books, and I'm very excited about this. I am excited about how much I am reading lately. I'm excited about how excited I am about reading again, and I'm excited about sharing the books with you that have helped me grow my copywriting and marketing studio to this point. These are ones that I feel like were very pivotal in not only my skill as a copywriter and marketer, but also in my business building, and has helped with my ability to overcome hard things and show up consistently in my business and build something that feels like it's bigger than myself. So I think that's really cool, and books are something that I relied heavily on, especially in the early days. I eventually did go back to school to study marketing formally, but before then I was just like dabbling, trying to pick up information where I could. Books were like a low-cost way for me to learn, not only on the job, but actually learn like the science behind these things. So if you are hoping to become or are a beginner, freelancer, copywriter, marketer, that kind of thing, then this video might be of help for you. So let's get into the books that helped me grow my business to this point. Real quick though, if you don't know me, I am Jill Wise, and I talk about online business through a motherhood lens, but beyond that, I grew my marketing and copywriting studio to have a team under me, all like bootstrapping it from the beginning. I also have a done for you education platform, and I work with clients to build out similar types of models for their own business. So that's kind of the context that we're working with here. Now let's talk about the books. To give you some more context, I think that as a copywriter or a marketer or a freelancer who is working in the digital marketing space, it is so important for you to not just like memorize rules and frameworks, but actually get to the source. So instead of just following like a specific formula or a template or whatever when you are writing copy, for example, I think it's more important to understand why people make decisions and that buying journey and like the psychology behind all of this, because then you can come up with something that's a lot more custom, and you can make smart decisions for yourself and your clients that are going to work so much better than just following a template or a formula and just like plugging stuff in. Templates and formulas are super helpful when you're getting started. There's definitely a time and place for them. I sell templates. This stuff works, but if you want to take yourself to the next level, you use that template and then you add in your own flair, you add in your own understanding of why people make decisions and why they act in certain ways, and that is going to help you elevate yourself in the industry. So with that, first book that I would recommend is Predictably Irrational by Dan Ariely. I don't know how to say that last name. Anyways, this one I thought was so interesting when I first read it like years ago, but it basically explains why people make decisions, and it's all like science backed. Like he's studied this stuff, so he gives us specific examples of like studies of why people act in a certain way, or if people are given choices, what they would tend to choose, what it's more likely that they'll choose. So it's definitely like more of a sciencey book, but I thought it was really interesting and it didn't take me long to get through it. So I would highly recommend this if you are going the copywriting route as well. Now, not all of these books are for marketing and copywriting specifically, but they are books that helped me grow my business. So where that one would help me write better copy because I understand why people are making decisions, why people buy. There's ones in this mix that are more of like, this helped me grow my business because it helped me with a mindset thing. So next book is The Tipping Point. This is How Little Things Can Make a Big Difference by Malcolm Gladwell. I love all of his books. I've read a lot of them. I love every single one that I've read so far. They're just really well written, and I love like the data that is presented in them too. So The Tipping Point is really cool because it just talks about like how things follow a trend and how everything comes to a tipping point. And that could be in marketing, or it could be in like a virus taking off. So it's kind of cool to see like how statistically these things happen. It could be in like the popularity of a product or an idea, anything. Like they all have that tipping point, and that information is helpful to us as marketers because then we can see how to facilitate that tipping point. Like how are we going to help that happen? Like how are we going to help make that happen? So I would definitely recommend this one as well if you are building a business similar to mine and serving clients in a way that is similar to how I am, which is with copywriting and marketing. Next, this one is a little bit more self-helpy, but it really helped me with my business growth because I think that personal development is so closely tied to business development, especially if you are a solopreneur or a personal brand like I am. Like you need to work on yourself in order to work on your business. And that leads us to The Gifts of Imperfection by Brene Brown. So this one just like helped me realize that I was keeping myself in boxes. As the subtitle says, let go of who you think you're supposed to be and embrace who you are. So my brand went through an evolution a few years ago where I realized I was like really vanilla and just keeping things really plain. And I've talked about this in passing before. Not so much anymore because we've moved beyond that, but when it was happening and when I first realized that it was happening, I talked about it a lot. But I just realized that I was like playing small, I was trying to be likable, I was like too scared to show up as myself. And the moment that I decided to show up as myself instead is when my business really took off. So at the time of this video, that is like the website that you currently see up, that is like the messaging that you currently see, everything feels just very much more aligned with me and who I am. And by doing that, I was able to like increase my revenue greatly because I started attracting the right people who mattered rather than like trying to be liked by everyone. So I highly recommend doing that work, or at least reading this book to start if your business looks like mine and maybe you feel like you're playing a little bit small. Kind of along the same lines of playing small, we got to add some woo-woo into the mix. So that is where The Universe Has Your Back by Gabby Bernstein comes in. I liked this book. It's a very good like intro to the woo world if you are a little bit like me and you kind of like dabble, but you're not a total expert. So if you're just starting to dabble, I would recommend this one, and it just like helps you get out of the perspective of like being in your head and realizing that we don't actually control anything, and whatever you want to call it, whether that's spirituality or just like trusting in the flow of life, you don't have to decide what that is even. But I would say that the most important takeaway is realizing that like you aren't in control, and that's kind of relieving. And if you just trust, things will come to you as they need to. And when you are ready for the next level, when you are the person that you need to be in order to hit that next level, like things will happen. And I think that this is very true, especially in terms of manifestation. I feel like everything that I've set my mind to and I've put my intention on has happened for the most part. Maybe not exactly how I thought it would at the beginning, but it does continue to happen. So that's a cool thing. And I would recommend this if you want to get introduced to that whole world. Next in here, we need a classic for leadership, personal development, obviously. 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. This one is dusty. I'm gonna dust it off because I haven't picked it up for a really long time, but I read it when I was like first starting freelancing. I wanna say like 7, 8 years ago maybe, and I thought it was so impactful. Like this was my first intro to this whole world of personal development, and it is something that I still live by. Like I remember these all of the time. If you are in any kind of leadership world, Stephen Covey is recommended. I actually remember that it was recommended to me by one of the people that I was interviewing for an old journalism job that I had. He was like a leader at a mining company, and I was doing an article on him, and I asked him about books that had been influential for him or people that had been influential for him, and he recommended this book, and I went and bought it immediately because I was like, if you are that successful, I'm gonna read whatever you tell me to read. So that is that one I would recommend picking up if you want to take like not only yourself and your own personal development seriously, but your business development and become like an overall good human, and then therefore a better leader. Next, we're getting a little bit more into business growth. This is Rocket Fuel by Gino Wickman and Mark Winters. This one I recommend to a lot of my clients because it's going over the idea of like you as a solopreneur maybe can't be everything in your business. And if you want to add rocket fuel to your growth, as they say, it's needing to figure out what is missing from your business. And the whole premise is that it might be even a person that is missing. And there's different types of people in the world, and there's the entrepreneurial types that are like the visionaries, and then there's those that help the visionaries make things happen. So this is definitely a good read if you are the visionary type who has been maybe spinning your wheels and you're trying to figure out what's missing from your business, because it might not be a something, but a someone. Side note, I don't think that everybody needs to go hire someone all the time. I have so many opinions about hiring, but if you are going to take your business to like the next level, this might be the thing that's missing for you. The next thing is that if you want to be a good copywriter, a good freelance writer, a good marketer, I think that you need to be a good writer. And I'm talking about creative writing, because while yes, it is a science, it's backed by data, we have like things that we do in the copywriting world, you also need to be a good creative writer. Otherwise your copy just might be kind of boring. It might just not hit. And this is where like the personality comes in. So with that, book that I would recommend if you're going the copywriting, freelance writing route is Being a Better Writer. And I would recommend Stephen King's On Writing. This was really helpful for me in the early days just to understand like what makes good writing. I studied English language and literature, so obviously this came up in there. Maybe you don't have to choose this one specifically. I studied like poetics and like other creative writing books. Whatever it is, just like do a little bit of work around creative writing if you're going to be a writer on the internet, and I can guarantee that will help you improve your writing. Another thing that will help you improve your writing is actually writing. Just writing things over and over again, practicing and reading. All of those things will help you be a better writer, but definitely this book. The next one, of course, if we are gonna be good copywriters and marketers, we need the Copywriters Handbook. This is where the formulas come in. This is like the typical, I'm gonna be a copywriter, I'm gonna go pick this book thing. So if you were brand new, I would start here and then go on to the other books like The Psychology of Sales and The Predictably Irrational that I recommended and the creative writing stuff. But this is going to be your step-by-step guide to writing copy that sells. And I don't care what is happening in the current world. There are foundational books like this that will help you over time. Forever. I also have the Copy Editor's Handbook. That one came in really handy, just like understanding grammatical conventions. And I know that we break the rules in the copywriting world, especially in digital marketing, but I think that in order to break the rules, you need to know what those rules are first. If you don't have an understanding of the rules, then you're not actually intentionally breaking the rules, and then it's just like you're doing whatever you think feels right, and then that is not very like sound, I don't think. You need those strong foundations first, then you can go ahead and say, you know what, I'm gonna do better. So that's what this is. That's why I would recommend starting here and then moving on to these other things that will help you grow your business and perfect your craft. Another one that is going to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and maybe change your perspective on things is The Secret. And as it says, it's a secret. I'm not going to tell you too much about it, but it has a lot to do with manifesting and intentions and just like realizing that things are bigger than you. And when you realize that things are bigger than you, then it makes it a lot easier to move through this wild entrepreneurial journey, because you don't have to have control of everything and it doesn't have to be perfect. So definitely recommend picking up this one too if you are in the freelancing business building world. And then finally, wrapping up with a classic here that has to do with money mindset and making money, and that is Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. Now, this book was written originally ages ago, like a long time ago. I don't even remember how long ago, but it's funny because the foundational messages in it are still relevant now, years later. And I think that those books are the best, because if those messages have been true for that long, then they're not going to shift with the latest trend that pops up tomorrow. And I think that is so important when you are trying to build a business that is sustainable long-term. It's relying on the tried and true things, changing with the times, of course, but not getting caught up in trends and instead like paving your own path based on the foundations that you have. Kind of like I said before with you need to know the rules in order to break them, you need to know the foundations in order to expand beyond them. So that is why I would recommend this book if you're just getting started in the money mindset world, in the business growth world. I think one of the biggest takeaways for me was when he mentions needing a mastermind and needing people that are in a similar place to you in order to grow and expand. That's when I decided to join my first high ticket mastermind, and that was one of the best decisions I could have ever made in my business growth, was like surrounding myself with people that are doing the thing that I want to do. And I chose coaches that had built what I want to build. And it was scary, but it was so worth it. And that is a message that I got from that book. Now, this is by no means an exhaustive list, but I don't want to make this video too long. If you like this, I can dig back into my bookshelves and see what else there is that I would recommend specifically for growing a freelance copywriting or marketing business. I also would love to talk about other types of books, maybe narrowing it down between personal development and business building and fiction and just like personal interest ones. So if you like that idea, then let me know in the comments below. And if you have any recommendations or any books that you would add to this list too that would help others who are watching grow their freelance business, I would encourage you to leave those in the comments too, because we can't possibly have all the answers, but let's help each other out by recommending places where we can find more answers at least. So I will leave you with that. If you've made it this far, then thank you so much for watching, and I will chat with you soon.